Hey there, how's it going? I figured it was time for another channel update. If you're new to the channel, my name's Aaron. This is Angling with Aaron. And what I do is I basically fish bait finesse style. I'm doing a couple experiments right now because, I live in a neighborhood. I got the neighbor's dog that always likes to bark. Thankfully, they're moving. So I'm testing out a new microphone system just to see how good the noise cancellation works. And then I also have people cutting down trees across the street, all kinds of birds chirping. So again, we'll see how these noise cancellation microphones pan out. I've been using them a little bit while fishing, and I just figured, well, maybe it'll let me film some stuff outside even when conditions aren't optimal. So with that, channel updates. I do these every 6 months or so, and the last one I talked about a few things that I wanted to do. Today I'm going to give an update on a little bit of that stuff, and then also sort of what's coming hopefully for the next 6 months. So probably the biggest one was monetization of the channel. I think back at that time I had around 600 subscribers. Now we're, I don't know, somewhere 2,400 monetized in January or February. Since then, we've basically tripled the amount that we're earning each month from the channel. So that's good. I mean, it's nowhere near where we want to get to, but it's growing and it's increasing. So that's cool. The other probably big news that was completely unplanned, and I wasn't targeting this, is I have been working on that line of bait finesse rods. I think we finalized the designs earlier this week. It looks like there's going to be at least 6 different rods that come out in this line, which just is amazing to me. And so I'm sitting here actually doing some rod reviews of some other stuff because as these things come out, it's probably the only thing I'm going to fish because they are that good. And I'm not saying that because I'm involved with them. When we started the discussions, I said, well, if we're going to do something, I'd love to make essentially the ultimate line of fishing rods for bait finesse. Can we cover almost every application? And so I feel like we've done that. I will have everything from my primary trout fishing stream rod to my power finesse stuff and a few options that I've never had before. So I think that's just going to be absolutely incredible and amazing. So those are probably going to be announced officially in July, which is about a month from now. So if you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel. Odds are most of you who are watching this video are already subscribed to the channel, and I appreciate every single one of you. None of what's happening could have been possible without the subscribers and the people that started following along early on when I was just doing this to be like, hey, I'm just going to document my fishing journey. I have about 15, maybe a few more product reviews that I'm either behind on or I've been waiting on for different reasons. I'm going to get those knocked out. Probably a third of those are fishing rods, a third of them are reels, and then a third of them are just other products like the kayak, like this Insta360 camera. I try to do those reviews to help other people out that want to either buy gear or document their fishing journeys. Maybe you want to create a YouTube channel. So I try to share my experiences, good and bad, with those kind of things. And I think if you've watched, any number of my reviews, you know that I'm not afraid to say, hey, I don't recommend this. I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe one of the reviews that I'm doing today, maybe 2 of them are probably going to fall into that category. They're not bad, but I think there are better options out there, and that's what I try to like to share. That's sort of like what I'm trying to wrap up right now. I think with most of the reviews that I've filmed, I've got like 12 or 13 videos already filmed, and so I'm going to try to get these reviews out fairly quick. And so there's going to be a little batch of reviews. Maybe we'll call it review, a couple review weeks, and I may be able to sprinkle a trip in there or 2. But I'm really just trying to get those reviews out of the way because come July and August, there's probably going to be a lot of content about the new line of rods, and so I sort of want to make that the focus because I've put a ton of effort into designing and testing these rods. They've put a ton of effort and faith in me in creating the line of rods. It's going to be a focus. I've already been stress testing them some, but we're going to try to throw everything we can at those rods through the rest of the summer and into the fall. Along with that, I've got like 140, 150 other video ideas. And so obviously I'm not going to get all of those done this summer, but I'm always thinking of different types of content, different things that I want to share, different pieces of knowledge. And so 2 major things that I'm going to start working on through the summer as well. One is going to be essentially lure comparisons. And what I mean by that is, let's compare sort of the OEM, the more expensive lures, to the AliExpress or the cheaper versions. So, for example, I've got whopper ploppers, and so I've got a knockoff and an original. And if you look close enough, you might be able to figure out which one's which. Most of these are marked, and so I know. But I'm going to look at things like the Jackal Baby Garon, and there is a AliExpress version of that. The Gancraft Jointed Claw, I'll be comparing those. The Megabass Dark Sleeper, even though I haven't been hugely successful with this lure, a lot of people love it, and I figure I just need to figure out how to fish it better. So I've got a handful more of the Megabass versions, and I've got a handful of the AliExpress versions. And I got a lot of other lures too. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do is sort of this lure comparison of like, is it worth the extra money? Some of those are $20 or $25 lures, and you can get very similar copies, knockoffs, whatever you want to call them. You can get those for $3 or $4 sometimes, and not everybody has the expanded budget. And so I just want to know, like, do they perform very similarly? So I got some ideas on how I'm going to try to do that. And so I'll be working on those through the summer. The other thing that a lot of people have asked for, and I will start doing that, as part of why I'm trying to get all of these sort of reviews out of the way. So I want to start doing comparisons of reels. So, how does the Aldebaran stack up to the Conquest BFS? How does the SLX BFS compare to the Corrado BFS? The Daiwa versus Shimano. Just a lot of the different reels back and forth. How do these compare to each other, and what are the strengths that each one of them has? And so I think just alone with the sort of the JDM level reels that I have, I think that's like potentially 18 videos if we're doing head-to-head competitions. Obviously, kayak fishing is going to continue to be a decent part of what I do, but a lot of the places I want to fish are streams, and so I'm still going to be wading a lot. You've seen that a little bit on some of the trout fishing videos. I have one or two smallmouth videos coming up that are, it's just, I can't get a kayak into that creek, and there's no reason to. It's so shallow, and the pools are just so spread out. So I'm definitely going to continue to do that. And other than that, it's just going to be try to continue to improve my content, expand on the content. I've been kicking around the idea of doing, like one really good video every week or two, a little bit more cinematic. I'm not 100% sure I have the skills to pull it off, but I may try that a little bit through the summer as well. I know I have some cool ideas I want to try to do for the Bait Finesse rod line, and so I'll be putting some even additional effort into some of those. But other than that, I want to connect with you guys. I want to hear from you. Obviously I have the Patreon group. There's a few people in there. It's not that big of a deal, but I do share behind the scenes type stuff. And in fact, if you want to know, who it is that I'm working for, the Patreon group already knows. And so that's, I do share some really, I think, some pretty good behind the scenes stuff. Continuing to work on building out the YouTubers fishing network. And so, how do we get to the point where we help each other grow? John from John's Fishing Journeys, he's going to be watching this. He's basically gone from, I want to start a YouTube channel. So I think he's got now 200 subscribers when I looked this morning. 196, 198, 200, somewhere right around there. And so, he's been in that group. We've been sharing different ideas. Some of the things I think he's picked up have helped him grow as well. And he's even mentioned that. I think there's room for a ton of people to have great YouTube fishing channels. It's really more just about real people on YouTube for the most part. I mean, there is some really, intentionally crafted stuff. And I see that people are going to be more and more wanting to be in control of their programming. As it seems like society gets more and more polarizing, and people are trying more and more to split people apart. I think people like me, maybe people like you're going to want to be 100% in control of what you're seeing, maybe what your family is seeing. And I think YouTube offers that, and there's space for everybody. I'm not this loud, in your face, high energy type person like some of the other YouTube personalities. But there's also very successful guys that are nice and mellow. And so that has encouraged me. Guys like Indy Yak Angler and John from Creek Fishing Adventures, those guys aren't crazy and all, high energy and in your face and doing crazy different types of challenge videos and whatever. That's where I'm really trying to do. Now, I do some, I don't want to say challenge stuff, but sort of, because when it comes to Bait Finesse, one of the things that I'm interested in is, where can I buy Bait Finesse lures? Like, yeah, I enjoy ordering from Japan. It's interesting to find some of the cheap stuff on AliExpress. But when I need some of the stuff that I want to fish with, can I find it locally, or can I find something similar that works? So to that end, I need to do more of these other sort of buying bait finesse lures at X location. And I've probably got 8 or 9 of those on my list that I could do as well. There's a ton of opportunity to create content that helps you learn. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I mean, hopefully it's entertaining, but I want you to maybe spark some ideas. And so along the learning side, one other thing that I'm going to try to do is start doing a better job of sort of teaching lure specific applications. Like I've been working on really learning how to fish the wacky rig this year, and I've caught more fish on it than probably anything else. My biggest fish have come on the wacky rig. And it feels weird to say this because it's been around forever, but I've never really fished it until this year. I've never put the effort into trying to figure out how to rig it the right way, test out different hooks, figure out, where to cast it, what it feels like. Now, I will say this. What I've noticed is these new rods that I've been working on, they are so sensitive that it makes some of these really ultra finesse techniques like the wacky rig, like you can feel the fish pick up the worm, even if it's an 8-inch bass on slack line in the wind, you can still feel it. It transmits so well through the line, through the rod, that you can feel like, oh, what was that? Right? And then you can set the hook and have a much better shot at landing more fish. And so I really think part of why I've caught a few more fish this year than maybe I would have other ways is having that extra sensitivity. But so working on things like the wacky rig, I've been experimenting with the hover rig, which people are starting to talk about. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I think the first time I tried to use it, it was just too swift and too shallow. This really feels more like a stillwater application. So there are a lot of different approaches that I want to try to share those kind of things. But other than that, it's just about having fun. Oh, and then the blog. I've tried to start it a couple times. It's just, there's only so much time in the day. I think I've figured out a good workflow now where I can leverage some of my YouTube content to create expanded content on the blog. So that'll be at anglingwithaaron.com. There's nothing new out there yet, but I do have a few things drafted, and I'm just working on adding that into my repertoire. I'm still selling on eBay some, once I get to the point where, the other fishing-based revenues create enough, I'll stop doing the eBay, but I'm still doing that. So it does take, it's like a part-time job essentially, but it pays well enough. So I'm not complaining. But I mean, that's really the gist. I still have bought virtually no accessories for the Hobie. So I will be, at some point, I'll probably be adding some accessories to that. Obviously, it'd be great to work with other brands on that kind of stuff. So, if you know anybody, want to connect me, hook me up, that would be fantastic. But I'm starting to get a feel now for some of the stuff that I want to add, some of the things that I want to try out. But honestly, it's just been a lot of fun. Most of the times when I go a little bit more simple, I seem like I can focus more on the fishing and less about the gear and what's all around me. So anyway, this has been, it's been an amazing year so far. If you remember back in December, I said that my goal was to get to 2,000 subscribers. So we've blown way past that. So now I'm hoping to get, maybe 4,000 or so. We're at, like I said, I think 22 or 2,300. I don't watch it that close, to be honest with you, but it'd be really cool if we can get to like 4,000 or 5,000 this year. So tell your friends, share this. If you're watching this now and you're not subscribed, I don't ask very often, but hey, at least leave a thumbs up. Like, likes are free, right? But maybe you can subscribe and follow along, because again, there's a ton of new reviews coming out. I've told you some of the stuff that we're going to be working on. So there should be a good bit of content still coming out, and some of it will be fresh and new, and some of it will be maybe struggling to figure out, how to catch fish on a certain day. And I'm still trying to share some of the struggles. The last thing is, I've been having a lot of GoPro audio issues lately. So I've been starting to use the Insta360 a little bit more for even just like the chest camera. It seems to be working out well. You can see that in some of the most recent videos. I had another video that I put a ton of time into, and I mean, literally it was probably 6 or 7 hours worth of filming. And when I went to go start editing it yesterday, neighbors walking by. When I went to go start editing it yesterday, I had no audio at all from the main camera. So I just, it's one of the challenges of doing this kind of stuff, is sometimes you run into these audio issues, which is also why I'm testing out new microphone systems to see if I can just get more redundancy and a little bit better. So again, the goal is to bring you better and better quality. Appreciate that. If you have any suggestions on the kind of stuff you'd want to see, if you have any feedback on the kind of things that I've talked about, just leave it in the comments below. And if you've been a follower of the channel, tell me what your favorite kind of content is. Just say, hey, I want to see more of this, and if there's something else you want to see less of, say I want to see less of this, and I'll do what I can. That being said, thank you so much for each and every one of you. At some point, we'll probably do some kind of giveaway here, and maybe in the late summer, early fall, figure out what that is. Maybe for the 2,500, maybe for 3,000. I don't know. Well, right now I only have one real sponsor, and that's the rod manufacturer that I'm working with. I do have a couple other affiliates that I'm working with. eBay, Amazon, AliExpress, and Fish USA are all companies that I have started working with. And Fish USA is probably the newest that I've added. I really like working with them. And in fact, I did the video about how much better Fish USA's shipping is and stuff like that, and just their customer service. And it's part of why I reached out to them and said, hey, I'd love to be aligned with you guys. And they agreed. They were like, yep, you are the kind of channel we want to work with. So I got a couple other things that I'm trying to work out. Athletic Brewing. I've made a couple connections with them. I'd love for them to become sort of a main channel sponsor, but we'll see how it goes. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.